Today on Criminal Minds, we talk about body parts, muzzles, and puppies. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV. After show, we are here doing Criminal Minds, Season 12, Episode 4, episode called Keeper. We thought this was a very appropriate song, letting the bodies hit the
I've never heard this song before.
floors,
Let the
I guess.
bodies hit the floor.
The forest floors.
The floor of the earth.
The Appalachian Trail floors. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at SerafiniTV. And joining me, as always,
is the lovely Chris Howard. You can reach me at Chris Howard Live, both on Twitter and Instagram. I've never heard this song before.
You're not
but
really missing much.
I know, yeah. It sounds like really hard rock, and it sounds very scary, and this was a scary episode, so it fits.
I've only heard the beginning of the song. Like, I only know that
Same
whisper
here.
and then the scream. I'm Michelle Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
Yeah, this song. It's not really my type of music, but it was fitting for this.
You knew it. You were the one who sang it,
My
weren't you?
brother knew this song, so therefore I knew this song.
Yep.
Guys.
It's a
Chuck it up to
brother
my
deal.
brother.
It's a brother
Yes,
deal.
I have brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, episode Keeper. A very straightforward episode. It was surprisingly so, but what were your quick thoughts of it? Michelle, let's start with you.
I thought it was almost like a throwback. And it's Thursday that we're covering this, but that's neither here nor there. But it was very procedural and very straightforward, and there wasn't any drama with Peter Lewis. There wasn't any drama with Hotch. There wasn't really any major backstory. I mean, we got a little bit with Spencer's character development, but otherwise it was identify the unsub, figure out, what his signature is, and then solve the crime.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, what I'm picking up, because you guys have been watching the show a lot longer than I have, but what I'm picking up is just how fast these things move. The clip is just like pop, 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 pop. He did this, he did that. Okay, the MO is this. Okay, then we've got this is the pattern that he's running. So it's kind of neat to see everything come together so quickly. I like the precision and the tempo and the rhythm it keeps going through. Yeah.
It's like if Gilmore Girls was a crime show.
Oh my God, I love Gilmore Girls. I cannot wait until they come
Can't
back.
speak to that.
But Gilmore Girls is my show.
Quick pace.
But we digress. Yeah, I completely agree with you
Yes.
because it is very fast paced, and we had two people always pairing up and going off to whatever they needed to do, and then we saw them switch a lot.
Yeah.
And I like that, and it didn't really have the conventional storytelling of delivering the profile. It was all really. Eventually, we found out all the information that we needed to know: the unsubs, the victims from other places, but not really a moment where they actually delivered the profile. And I didn't notice that until like the second time I watched the episode.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat.
You guys
We
are
still
serious
understood.
fans. The second time you
Yeah.
watched the episode,
Right.
both of you watched it twice. So.
Yeah, because there was no one to present it to. Even Rossi commented, like, setting up the bulletin board in the woods. So we have to do this old school.
Yeah, we got to do it here. I was very surprised because, I mean, we got that one policeman at the beginning of the episode who kind of got involved, and he was the one that started everything, but you think he would give that to the other people, the other police guys that he works with.
Yeah.
Give what to them?
Or, like, he'd get them involved.
Get them involved.
Oh, get them
Therefore, they usually have to go down to, like, a police department or some type of station to set up shop there.
Right, it went federal real quick, and they took over, right?
It did.
Yeah. And they were so close to it that they drove there. So I think it just mentally threw me that it would be such a remote town, small town. I mean, it totally makes sense in that area, but I was like, the closest police station is 20 miles away or 20 minutes. It was one of those two.
Yeah,
It was
it's
far away.
kind of in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
But watching it the second time, it was like they didn't really skip a beat or anything. We still understood what we needed to know at the end.
I know that town, by the way. I've been there.
Dylan?
No, I know Lorraine.
Oh, you need to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been to the caverns too. She mentioned the caverns. She's like, aren't there famous caverns here? And there are. They're beautiful caverns, like underground
You should go on the trail.
caves and stuff. On the Appalachian Trail. What is that? People hike that?
People hike it.
Yep.
The Appalachian
And
Mountains.
it's a big hike, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yep. You can hike parts of it or the whole thing.
And if you were to hike the whole thing, that's like how
Through hikers, that's what they're
Yeah.
called.
That's an ambitious
Are
journey.
we talking like
Very
months or
I'd imagine months.
Yeah.
really?
There are some trails that take months to
Yep.
complete. There's one here, the PCH here.
Yeah.
And In
that take months
California.
to complete here in California.
Yeah.
No
There's
kidding.
one that goes across Canada.
Yeah, there's a bunch of trails that go across country, go up a whole state, or like up multiple states. So,
Wow.
so like if you think about the Appalachian Trail, I mean that's an enormous landmass
So
that
the whole
you'd have
point
to
was
cover.
that he could disappear there, and they had said somebody had disappeared there before for 5 years. They looked for somebody out there.
Yeah, apparently they
mentioned.
had a case 6 years ago, and the unsub was never found because the land was so big they couldn't find him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Scary. And I was like trying to remember what episode though.
That
Like, if you saw
was, if it's the same trail, I think it was the same area. It was the older
mentioned it here.
man who kidnapped young boys. And then he escaped in town. He shaved his face and he was able to get away, and they didn't actually catch him.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a big area.
I believe it. I'm like, yeah, they caught so many people. That's probably true.
Yeah.
Easy to disappear, but then you'd have to wonder, like, how could somebody live for 5 years out there? That's wild.
I know, but apparently some people can.
Yeah, I guess if you're
People can
hunting
live
and fishing
recluse.
and
Yeah. They're very self-efficient.
self-efficient, like you,
Yeah.
like you could do, you'd probably last 7.
Maybe, give or take.
Give or take.
Who knows? But you did mention that it went, federal very quick.
Yeah.
But JJ did say the line that there had been 5 victims, therefore already made it serial.
Right.
Therefore, that's
Yep.
why the feds got involved already at the top of the episode. So
Got
that
it.
makes sense now. But yeah, let's talk about the victimology. There were 5 different victims. 4 of them were male, 1 was female. The female was the most recent. Her name was Kylie Fleming. Poor girl.
Right? Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong. Apparently, like mid-20s, so like that's me, which is scary. And then, but apparently we'll get into all the, the unsub, of course, as well. But she crossed the unsub during his killing, and apparently was a
Just
victim.
stumbled on it. And
Yeah.
You had to get rid of her
Victim
because of
of
that. Yeah.
opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, I can't imagine being in that position, but it was really sad to see that happen to a female, and from that they learned that the unsub actually had a preference. It was
Yeah.
males in the 40s and 50s.
Right. What's interesting is how they found that, and then they were able to dismiss that she was part of the pattern. How did they pull her out? I'm trying to remember what was it.
Backpack.
They brought the cadaver dogs in.
But
And
it
the
was the
dog sniffed out
backpack
the
that.
backpack. Yep.
What was the one piece of evidence though that let them know that she was she was not just the anomaly, but also she was not a part of the pattern, that let them know that she must have stumbled upon it. There was something
Text.
Yep.
It was the text that says, "Hey, I saw
I
something."
stumbled on something in the woods.
Yep.
Okay.
Really creepy.
And then they realized that she was just wrong place.
So
wrong
she
time.
was just a victim of circumstance. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
so. But what did you think about the details of finding out the earlier victims were all males in their 40s and 50s? And this has been going on for quite some time.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, it gives you. I love the fact that they can find the pattern, and then go, okay, what are we looking for now? Why? How you can reverse engineer a crime. That's kind of cool.
It is. It's fascinating. I did think when they mentioned the one girl in her early to mid 20s, I was like, that's an anomaly. That's not part of the signature. That's not going to be a thing, because if 4 victims are white males in their mid 40s, and then there's one woman in her 20s, that's just
Like, why the switch of MO?
yeah.
What's with that?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
It's like that is something doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I like the fact that they figured it out, and so that narrowed down their search for the unsub. But what did you think of the second victim that we actually saw, Howard? His name is Howard, who got hit by that shovel.
At the gas station, right? He's
Yeah.
talking to his wife. He's happy. He says, "I'll be there in a little while, honey."
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
That ouch.
Now he wasn't the
Ouch.
second victim, though, right? He was.
He was like the 7th,
Yeah,
technically,
like the
the
seventh
seventh
victim,
victim.
yeah.
But he was the only one that was alive that we saw.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I just unfortunate for him, and it seemed that that kind of sorted from the pattern as well. And they said, because we're closing it off, he's going to find a way to get
That's true.
to get his victim. So I think that was probably an anomaly too, in terms of how he reached out to him in public, right?
Yeah, the unsub is accelerating. Which I find it very interesting because, like, we really didn't learn a lot about the victims, the victimology, because the other cadavers that they found in the body, dismembered body parts, like, they kept naming them, like, John Doe's and stuff. We never really got their names.
Yeah.
Right.
They were too
Decomposed.
Decomposed. Yeah.
and affected by the elements to get a proper DNA sample.
Yeah, especially being out in the woods, so many external factors can ruin the DNA. And just the time limit, there was like one set that was about a year and a half old, and then it went from 8 months to 4 months to 2 months to 1 week.
Right.
So he was accelerating.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me about that is how they must be thinking about. So you got to look at, you found this body part. Okay, you collect all the stuff and you say, what's the relationship between all of these? And you have to keep looking for relationships. What's the relationship between these men? What's the relationship between these body parts? What's the relationship between the time periods? And then how it comes together. You
Right.
know? I like that.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's fascinating. Did you ever think that like one of the body, one of the set was the actual unsub? Like they were gonna like throw a twist in there. It's like, is this who we think it is?
Oh, like the unsub was actually killed, or
like more so like that.
I didn't. Yeah.
He killed his brother.
Yeah,
and
he
his
killed
brother
his
was his
brother.
first victim.
Oh yes, they did kind of weave that in, didn't they? That possibility.
Yeah, did you think that?
Yeah, I did it first. Yeah.
I thought they did too well a job showcasing that Todd couldn't have possibly done it. Like, he didn't demonstrate enough moments of clarity in any capacity for me to be like, he's the killer.
He didn't seem
just
like he was the one capturing them, right? It was like, that takes some thought and to get the muzzle on them,
Right.
and he almost looked like he was just stumbling upon them and chopping things up.
I mean, it definitely left room for speculation, especially because they couldn't ID the bodies, that it could have been Cormac, but yeah. I loved this episode because of how much it was just straightforward procedure and, okay, these parameters didn't work. Let's try this. And it was just, it wasn't like an aha moment. It was just trial and error a lot, really fast and really effective. But it was very straightforward police work.
Now, what was weird, though, was there was confusion between the dog and the guy, because the dog wasn't Cormac, right? The dog's name wasn't Cormac, too.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, that pretty much takes us into Todd. But and then Todd's interrogation.
Right.
We realize that Cormac is actually his brother. And he's just so mentally, I don't want to say messed up because that's not right. But like
No,
he's
he was
been
messed up.
traumatized.
Yeah,
he was.
he was traumatized. His mind kind of snapped like his brother's.
Well, he's from Virginia.
Aw,
I'm
that's
joking,
terrible.
Virginians, we love you.
But like he's not all put together mentally either.
Yeah.
But we soon realized during this convoluted storytelling that his brother is actually Cormac, not the dog.
That was kind of interesting because you get to see the effects of the trauma, how it had on each one, and they made it was really straightforward where this brother's going to take care of the other one because he was traumatized, and the other brother's going to slaughter people like the pigs were slaughtered because he was traumatized, and he's going to imagine that the victim is his dad. So they both have this is how they've accepted the trauma, and here's how it plays out.
And Todd turned to drugs. Todd was his brother's keeper, and he was trying to be his protector and keep him safe because he felt like that's what older brothers do. And Cormac was younger and witnessing all the pigs being slaughtered, and then his dog, who he was emotionally attached to, like one of the few things he loved in the world, being taken from him at such a young age. He snapped and kind of did an internal thing where Todd did the external drugs, vagabond lifestyle, and
they were both pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Any way you shake it, they had been through hell. I mean, could you imagine that if your father said you'd sleep with the pigs,
No.
slaughtered them around you,
on.
make you wear a muzzle? Yeah.
That's messed up.
yeah.
Yeah. The dad, you got to wonder, it gets passed down generation to generation. So what did he have to go through?
Right. See, the thing is, with the whole flashback, when we see of Todd's flashback telling the stories, like, I didn't really understand, or, like, I didn't get to that conclusion that his brother was that truly traumatized. for him to execute all these killings.
Oh, you had to be traumatized to do it, you know. It's,
I understand that.
Yeah.
But like I saw more of the flashback from how Todd got messed up, but not how the brother, who was actually the one who's killing everybody.
right.
And I think in that flashback, it just beautifully demonstrated. And I looked up the actor because he did so great in that scene. Courtney Gaines. Whew, wow.
Great job.
Good job. Just demonstrating in the flashback how much that memory imprinted on his brain and how it kind of fused together the idea of Cormac and the dog. And if he could protect one, he would protect the other type thing. So I think that's why he was always like, I need to find the dog needs food, I need to take care of the dog.
So he was actually doing both. He was trying to find the dog, and he was protecting the brother and cleaning up after the brother to take care of the brother too. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of like just how the conventional, well, it was not really conventional, but like just the storytelling from Todd and how he eventually learned that through the interrogations, through Prentice's interrogation, through Roxy with the aid of Alvez's dog Roxy, but like how do you think we found out the story? Did you enjoy that?
I did. I thought that bringing Roxy in was a touch of genius on Luke's part, like going to get his dog and seeing, because all they were getting was Todd was looking for a dog named Cormac. And then being able to visually see his body response to an actual dog and be like, it's not about a dog. It's absolutely not about a dog. And it kind of helped steer how the interrogation was going to go.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. The response to the dog was actually kind of weird. It was out of sync with the story, I thought. And I also was surprised that the dog ran over to him, because dogs can be, especially those types of dogs, can be pretty good judges of character. You know, here's a guy that's chopping people up, and so maybe the dog saw him as the broken man that he was or whatever. But I was surprised that the dog was so friendly with him. Instead of, you know, I got a big dog. My dog, if somebody has bad intent or is not all together, that he's going to stand there and just bark the hell out of them, you know?
Right. I can completely understand it. There are some dogs that are actually used for therapy.
Right.
And I think Roxy is one of those who can work
Can
when
deal with,
needed to be, and like sniff out bombs or whatever
Right.
that like she's been trained to. But also on the flip side, when she's not really working, she could just be
Friendly.
a lovable companion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think during this situation, that was more to just help him open up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, well, he wouldn't have brought her in if she was going to go after him.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah. No. But I think it was a nice touch, and I think they used all the dogs very well in this episode, especially having the dogs sniffing in the woods,
The cadaver
finding
dogs and
the cadaver dogs.
I like police dogs. They're good.
We need more of them.
We
Yeah.
do.
Like, very rarely do we ever actually see dogs in the show.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe once a season.
Dogs are
Maybe.
good officers.
This episode, we got like 4 dogs.
Yeah, we had a lot of dogs.
It was good.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, so that kind of just brings us to really the takedown of Cormac, because we see, you know, Rossi and Tara going and finding out who Cormac was, who Todd is, but the whole takedown of Cormac in the barn, and like the actual barn, no less.
That was weird, huh?
You thought
Yeah,
they were going to kill
Muzzle.
him.
I thought they were going to shoot. In fact, I would have if I was there and I was the officer or the agent, and because at the one point he had the knife to the victim's neck, and he said, "You know what happens with a cornered animal? Well, a caged animal is going to fight like crazy."
Right.
Yeah.
And so the moment he said that with the knife at the neck, I thought they should have shot him in the head. I do. I think it would have been justified too. But they probably would have had all the sorts of internal investigations if you know. But I think they had, with a statement like that, and he's got a knife to somebody's throat, I think there's no problem shooting him. But they didn't. He said that then you have to give up. He went the opposite way that the phrase thought it was going to take it.
Yeah, so you thought that they were actually going to shoot him.
And I thought they should have. And I think if I was in that place, I would have.
Well, he didn't really make any sudden movements to the point where.
No,
like,
I
yeah,
know,
we
but
gotta
that
shoot
knife
him.
at this, like, all it's going to take is him slicing down, and he says, "You know what happens with a caged animal or a cornered animal?" Yeah, I mean, that to me is enough of a threat to take him out for the sake of the victim, the person that's lying there.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Did you think that?
I cannot speak to being a police officer in that moment.
Yes.
That's a very fair point.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know what the rules are, but I'm like that was enough for me. If it was
Yeah.
my mother and somebody said that and they had a knife at her throat, you know, they're going to take the bullet in the face.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Chris.
Yeah.
I thought that they were actually gonna shoot him too.
Yeah.
Because we know that Cormac can brutally kill someone, and this sounds terrible. Like, I would have been okay if Cormac was killed by the police and Todd survived, because Todd was the one that we spent a lot of time with, and we emoted with him, and we got close to him and connected with him.
And
then,
he was
like,
only chopping people up after.
yeah,
that.
and like he seemed more.
Well, yeah, the bodies were already dead.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
just trying to clean up
He
to
was just-
protect his brother.
He was just trying to be his brother's keeper.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan
Cormac was
of
the one
either
doing
one, but
Yeah, not that I wanted anyone to die.
I thought it was
honestly.
neat that they did show emotion and like she cared enough to be able to, even though the
Right.
guy's a psycho killer who has killed people and chopped people up, she cares enough to kind of put his life right by saying, hey, yeah, you saved your brother.
Yeah, I loved how they brought it
Right.
back.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was great. And even the fact that his mind is still, Todd's mind is still snapped there, and it's like pretty much broken.
Doesn't
So
mean he's not going to get locked up. Doesn't mean, but at
Yeah.
least he can have some emotional.
doesn't mean that
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he can understand the fact that everything went okay,
Right.
Yep.
even if with his brother and with his quote unquote dog and his
Yes.
quote unquote delusion.
Yeah.
But I like that. It was a sweet moment, and I'm glad this episode had a fairly happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, except for the
Except for the 7
s-
deaths, or the 6 bodies.
the slicing and dicing of all
Yeah.
the body parts and throw them across the.
That was it. Like the
wood.
first scene, you see a hand go flying over there. Up, a hand over on the thing. Look in the bag. What's there? A bunch of body parts.
It's
All right.
raining men.
It's raining men. Yeah, not in a good
is
way though.
raining
Not the way the song was meant.
Bloody
Nope.
men.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are just full of all those tonight. Yeah, I think that was probably the most disturbing part of this episode. Just like seeing all the body parts, and like especially when they're in the ME office and they're just laid out on trays.
trays.
Oh, that's
Did you say
Nasty.
especially?
especially.
Okay. I thought you said especially.
I
thought
might
it
have.
was-
I speak
it
really
was
fast,
cute.
you guys. But yeah, just to see all the body parts just laying out there, that was kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Well, and I just, from an objective standpoint of witnessing this, like that has to smell. I know they've probably neutralized it to a point to do science. I'm smart. It's fine to do the science. But just that Reed, when they do a shot and they're pulling away from Reed's face and he's just taking it all in and looking at it, and he's like totally desensitized to the moment and staring
Right.
at it objectively, and his mind is working to solve this crime. I'm just like, no, those are pieces of people.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, I think that the first police officer that looked in the bag, he would have smelled that a long time before picking up the bag and
Yeah.
looking in. It would have been, the stench would have been horrific, I would think.
Yeah. Even like after a week,
Yeah.
it would have smelled pretty right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like in the ME office, even Prentice was unshaken. So like they've
been
just
around
done
it so
so
much.
many cases. They're so desensitized.
There's
And
some
I
body
still
parts
watch it. I'm
there,
like,
and
nah, that's still kind of nasty. Yeah.
Now you've gotten to the point,
And I'm
after
like,
how many seasons? where
I can
now
look
you're-
at it. I can
Yeah.
look at it and like flinch just a little and be like,
Yep.
okay, moving
Now,
on.
when we add smell-o-vision, you're going to have a problem.
Oh, I have
You have to go through a whole new
I
desensitization
think all
process.
crime shows will go out of business if there's ever smell-o-vision.
Yeah, no.
Like, no one wants that.
I have very low tolerance for bad smell. That is true. Anyone who knows me. Yes. Overall, I enjoyed it. And let's get a little bit into the BAU, though, like themselves, their personal stories. We had Reed and his mother, because we know that his mother will come back in episodes. Jane Lynch has officially been booked to come back. So I think this was like a setup to have his mother come back. But we find out that she was involved, or like she will get involved with the John Hopkins participant for the metabolic enhancement for neurodegeneration.
I can't believe you wrote that down. I think it's almost a joke when they say things like that, because they want you to not get it, right?
Yeah.
They want it to sound very complex.
Yeah, but to help treat her condition.
Right.
Were you surprised at the fact that this didn't actually fully pan out well for him?
Not necessarily surprised, a little bummed for him. Because I know he's definitely the type of person or character that wants to solve the issue and solve the riddle. It's like a chess game almost. And I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but even at the end, instead of booking a plane ticket, he calls a doctor instead. Like, he's very focused on trying to make his mom better.
Yeah.
And he's also very, committed to his work. He wants to be right there. He doesn't he's torn. So that was nice that they had the conversation with Rossi and to put things so that he could actually feel good about going and doing something about it. I see Spencer as being a lot like a Sherlock Holmes type, very cerebral.
Totally.
He's like, he fits the stereotype. And so he's gotten permission to kind of feel in this episode and to be there and connected.
And that tends to happen. People with high IQs tend to have lower EQs.
That's what happened to me.
And but I like this because I still, even though Rossi's nice tender moment, it's okay, just be with your mother because your time with her is limited, and that's the best medicine to be there with her so she can see you, hear your voice, and all that's the best medicine. And I was like, that's just good advice in life.
Yeah.
Just be with your family because they take precedence and priority.
Yes,
I agree with that.
for sure.
I like that. And then we also got Roxy, the reveal of Roxy.
Yes, that was so cute.
Did you guys know that Roxy was the dog?
Yeah,
I knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we knew that Roxy was the dog. We just hadn't seen
They
Roxy.
showed us last episode.
We knew that Roxy was a dog.
And Garcia
didn't know.
So good.
That was a very sweet moment, though, when
That was.
Garcia finally found out it was Roxy. Her comment towards Alves was hysterical.
She's just... They're going to have such a great dynamic.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so excited to watch it develop more.
Yeah, and I know people are still very heartbroken over the loss of Derek, but I mean, this is a whole nother relationship that's completely not like that.
Yeah,
It's different.
it's unique.
It's refreshing,
Yeah.
really. But she has one of the best lines about Roxy, adores you how can any female not be intoxicated by your masculine wiles?
Is that exactly what he said?
No, not really. Not really. But
That's
what
how she perceived
thought.
it,
Yeah,
right?
that's how she thought.
Just shows how we distort things and twist them to make
To make them fit our Felix.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we also had the mention of Hotch. We do have to bring this up.
Yes.
Because they said that Hotch was on TYD, or TDY, God, letters, and which stands for temporary duty assignment. Which
I thought
means,
that you had all this stuff down. This TDY. Let's look at the BAC. Let's look at
I
what
read
the
it really
unsub is
fast. Some of mine read it backwards. But TDY, temporary duty assignment, which is, is a real thing, but it still doesn't explain why Hotch is gone, even though the audience knows why he's off the show. But I'm still wondering how they're going to properly write his character off.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like he can come back at any time.
They could have had him got chopped up in this episode, but
I don't want Hotch to get chopped up. But they made it sound like he's available for consulting, still pick up the phone and he's still there. It's like he can come back at any time. If he's really off the show, they need to have a set, done storyline.
I think they will.
Eventually, I think they're still
I think
working
they
it out.
wanted to do it justice and make sure that it was well written, whatever, and believable.
not rushed to anything yet.
Right.
Remember, Charlie Sheen got killed with a piano.
Did he really?
Don't you remember in...
I didn't watch
No, in Two and a Half Men, they
Yeah,
killed off the
too.
character. They said a piano fell on him and he was killed, and that was it. And they okay.
That's
Wow.
a terrible way to
That's how they
die.
replaced him?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Spoiler alert.
That's not a spoiler alert, actually.
This is a spoiler to
That's
me.
a
I never
past
watched the
spoiler.
show.
Oh, sorry. If you're watching Two and a Half Men, that's a spoiler
I feel
alert.
like
yes.
those are two completely demographics of people who watch that show. And this
I mean,
Yeah.
but they were so turned off to Charlie at the time. They're like, let's just kill him with a piano. Okay, he's dead.
and
Wow.
done. Hotch deserves better than that.
Okay.
Yes.
And he also deserves better than dismembering him,
All
being
right,
chopped
all
up.
right,
Yeah.
all right.
Like
I
Todd
gave
was
two
doing.
options. You didn't like either.
No, I'll go for the latter.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to
Pick a
kill him
number.
off.
I don't think so. Too.
I think they're going to have him retire to spend more time with Jack.
Same here. I think so too. Anything else about this episode? I really enjoyed it.
It was good.
I thought it was good. And I like to see the once again. I'm starting to really appreciate more the fast clip of how they put the case together, how it all comes together, and they're able to draw their conclusions, and also the pathology in the unsubs and how whatever's happened in their life leads to how they express their crime. So I'm starting to really appreciate that.
Yeah. I did like the moment when Prentice was with Garcia and in her control room. She's like, "Can it go any faster?" And like, it's funny every time they set Garcia, with parameters, like look for this type of person, and then it just goes away. Like we don't really think about how long Garcia's been waiting for answers until she calls us back. And so like to have someone in the room with her be like, "Oh, this is real time. This is how long you have to wait every single
But it's
episode."
still moving really fast. So to think that that's slow is,
Yeah.
I think the only thing missing for me so far from the show, like they've done some great work building up Alvaz as a character and introducing us to him, but we still don't know Tara Lewis that well.
Yeah, it's true.
And
she got
she's been on
attacked in
for a
this
season
episode.
and 4 episodes. One
Yeah.
season and 4 episodes.
It's very true. She got attacked this episode.
She did.
I was like, oh.
She was almost choked.
I was like ready for her to just beat him.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
She
they
got
need
your
more training.
punches.
yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah.
But Elvis, being the strong
It took the man
brute.
to come in and do it. I think if she had gotten properly trained in jiu-jitsu, she'd be able to do just
Could
fine.
you train her?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, come on, Tara. Come down to the studios and
Come on
Chris will
down.
teach
Let's
you.
get you trained.
Yeah, like I was actually scared for her life because it was at this time we didn't really know Todd and we didn't know if he was actually a soft person.
He's not soft. He'll
Softer.
chop you with an axe just
He
as soon
can.
as look at you. Yeah.
Well, not as soon as you look at it.
Yeah.
Again, it was like
He'll cry. He'll twist. He'll do like he did this. Remember when he saw the person on the ground? He's like, oh.
Like I'm not saying he was a good person, but I am saying he wasn't the killer.
Well, in most cases.
Yeah, he
Because
was.
I think the person he saw on the trail was alive, right? That he started chopping up. The person was writhing and alive, so he
Yeah.
killed.
Then they were dead.
He killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the unsub accelerated really fast. Yeah, but I think there were some good moments that I was like, oh, really afraid for Tara's life. But then there were some funny moments like Elvis and his dog Roxy. But overall, a very straightforward procedural.
Yep.
No plane. They didn't get on a plane this episode.
They haven't been. Have they been on the plane lately?
Yeah, they were on it last episode.
Okay. That was 2 weeks ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a while ago already.
Darn
We got a week
presidential
off. We
debate.
got a week
I
off,
know,
yeah.
curse them. All right, let's get a little to news, shall we? Just a
Yeah.
little.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, I don't know if you guys know, but me being a big fan of Padgett Brewster and I follow everything that she does, she appeared on Drunk History again this past week.
Oh, nice.
Drunk history?
Drunk History.
Drunk history.
It's a Comedy Central show.
Okay.
Pretty
You
good.
ever watched it?
No, it sounds funny, though.
Hysterical.
Really?
Yes, it's a bunch of comedians getting drunk and telling a historical event.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
Oh,
in a
I watched
very
that.
funny way with
Yep.
a lot of lip syncing. So Padgett Brewster, she's been on it a few times actually. She's one of the favorites. So her story was Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt meets a Soviet sniper, and the whole story was about when back in 1941, it was actually 1942 at the time during World War II, Eleanor Roosevelt befriended Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who was
Do your research, girl.
who was one of the best snipers in history. She killed 309
Damn.
fascists, and she was only 25.
Wow.
So it's pretty much, she was going over the whole story how Eleanor Roosevelt and Lyudmila they became friends, and Lyudmila came over to America and they went on this press tour to get people's support during the World War II.
Interesting.
Huh.
But now imagine that drunk.
Imagine that drunk.
So yeah, if you haven't seen it,
So the
definitely
drunk
check out
history,
the
it's a
episode.
true story, and then but they just
Yeah, it's a true story
Yeah.
that people get drunk and
watch this. How
relay
long
the
do they
story.
last?
30 minutes. Not even, it's like 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh, that's a good watch. You've seen this too.
I haven't seen that episode, but I've seen a couple.
You
I
should.
really enjoy it.
You should. If you guys haven't seen Drunk History, it's
Okay.
hysterical. I love it. Yeah, but that was just a quick thing that happened in the past time since our last episode. So let's get to, it's really hard to do predictions on the show because it's very
Yeah.
self-contained.
Yeah, they are, because each episode, yeah.
Yeah, it's very self-contained. But all right, so let's skip to predictions then.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. Well, the next preview we saw, it seemed like maybe because it was Halloween, or I don't know, but it seemed like there's going to be a bunch of younger, maybe teenagers, maybe mid-20 people being stalked by a killer who, I don't know, previews are very deceiving.
I was gonna say after the preview for this episode last night, I don't trust him.
It could be anything.
Well, that's what
Could be
she said too.
anything.
Marisa says, if you just watched the preview, it looked like it was a feral guy in the woods killing people. I'm like, it was.
But it
But
looked
like an
very different. It
animalistic
looked
feral
like
kind of
that could
person.
be like that.
It was. They were
It
raised
could be
with
like
pigs.
Bigfoot killing
Yeah.
people, you
He
know?
kind of looked like that.
Like
Or
there
like
was-
Troll Hunter.
There was lore in the mountains that
Right.
they were hunting, and it was a person abusing the lore,
Exactly.
which happens.
I mean, this was like the Halloween episode, but it was very straightforward, and I'm glad it wasn't that.
It was
Yeah.
good. I mean, we
Say
saw a
that.
hand fly. It's not like there's no gore.
That's true.
You're
We saw-
desensitized. You
We
guys
saw
are
the bag drip with all the blood.
Oh,
But you
that
saw.
was
Did you see the
disgusting.
hand?
Yeah, I saw the
He threw
hand.
yeah, it's like blood
I mean,
coming
the
out
hand
the
is
back.
the hand is straightforward. The blood effect, though, I agree. Like
The
the
blood
blood was
dripping, that looked
grosser.
pretty gross.
That
The
was,
blood
there
was
was
pretty
so
gross.
much blood in that bag.
What do they make that with? That like sugar water and
Corn syrup.
Corn syrup.
Yeah.
Corn syrup and red food coloring.
Yeah,
and
dyed
it's
corn
sticky and it's
syrup.
got this consistency. Just looks like it's gross.
Nasty.
Yes.
Nasty. But, I mean,
Do you think we
It's
could go
hard
on the?
to
Did they film that
predict.
here in Los Angeles? The show?
yes, they do.
Can we go on the set and go check it out? And
I would
see?
love to.
Can we? Do you know people
We'll
up
have
there?
to set that
Hey,
up.
can we come? We'd love to
To
do
the
a tour.
powers that be.
Let's go do a tour.
I would love it. I would
And get it behind the
absolutely
scenes.
love
That would
it
be fun.
because I love the show so much. Okay, that wasn't
right.
really predictions, but anyways.
I predict we'll be on a tour, so we can tell you so much more.
Okay. All right. How about you, Michelle? Predict anything? Nope.
Not really. I mean, it's the same very general ones that fall in line with the overarching themes of this entire season. Peter Lewis is going to come back. Jane Lynch is going to be in it.
Right.
I got nothing good.
We haven't caught the other serial killers yet.
No,
They
we're
kind of
still-
like took a break on that.
They did. I mean, they got to do their
So there's
day job,
outstanding
day job.
people we're still missing.
Yep.
Yeah, there's 5. There's 5 just like still.
5 or 4.
I think they dwindled it down to 4 now.
Yeah.
There was that one episode they caught him. But
We gotta get to work.
we're eventually gonna get those. Maybe they're saving them to the end of the season. That could be like the
Maybe.
big finale
Yeah.
or mid season. I'll take that as
Probably,
mid-season.
yeah.
Like wrap that up, and also we'll find out how Hotch actually leaves.
Unless Hotch is the mid-season finale.
Oh, they're really. Do you think they're really gonna stretch it out to 11 episodes for us to believe that he's officially gone?
I don't know.
I mean, his lack of presence is so
Apparent.
apparent. Yeah.
Who knows?
He's
how
gone.
they're gonna do it.
They can't keep making the excuse that he's
He's
out
on
on assignment
assignment.
again.
They'll just
So
do stock
there's going to be a
footage
plane
of-
that goes down or something that happens.
Oh,
or
no,
they're not
They
gonna-
had to
Don't
take
kill
him
him
out
in
in
a
a good
plane
way.
crash.
What? Okay.
No.
Okay. well-
Okay. No.
No, he's gonna retire and hang out with Jack.
I like that. Let's
'Cause
end it there.
Jack has been traumatized enough.
Yeah, I like that. Let's end on a happy note.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to us every week. In the meantime, where can we keep following you?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And you can follow me on the Appalachian Trail. I'll be hanging out up there. No, you can find me Chris Howard at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram.
Not surrounded by any pigs.
Now,
Fortunately so. Which remind me of the episode.
I'm surrounded by beautiful women. What are you talking about?
Thanks. Yeah, this episode reminded me of the episode Two Hell and Back, season 4 finale.
Oh,
The pigs, because pigs are omnivorous. And once I saw a pig, I'm like, oh, this
I
cannot
know.
be
I was
good.
like, I'm not
No
feeling
pigs,
it.
no pigs.
But yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Keep rating, keep commenting, and keep watching this scary, awesome, amazing, brilliant show. So thank you everyone. We will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Wheels up.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.